Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the NS9 MLB Pittsburgh Pirates 2024 trade deadline special show. The longest name I can incorporate right now because I don't even know what this is called. But we have a show to do. The trade deadline has officially ended 32 minutes ago. Tyler, how you doing?
Man, that was like the Michael Scott fun run right there.
There it is. Yes.
You drilled it all in. I'm really sorry to everybody in the comments. It's me, not Jim. Jim put in a full work day yesterday, so he's getting a little bit of time off here.
Not well deserved, but yeah, he is. Actually, but the thing is, like, we're graced with you now. We've had enough of Jim. It's time for some tie.
Yeah,
since everyone loves your.
I'm sorry, people.
But I'll tell you what. Let's get this out the way because I feel like we're going to talk a lot. So for you all, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online, the game starts here. I want to start just raw emotion. Tyler, how do you feel about the trade deadline? Before we get into any analysis, any discussion, just how are you feeling right now, my guy?
So the Pirates, the 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates got better today. They acquired major league caliber players.
That's not a feeling, Tyler. That is a stat. That is analysis. What is your?
But it
feeling?
actually
how
is a feeling. Feel? It actually is a feeling when you.
No, when you go to a therapist and say, "How are you feeling?" You don't say the Pirates got better.
I mean,
there's no sticker for that. There's no face. There's no emoji for Pirates got better today. How do you feel?
I think my general thought of this entire trade deadline and what the Pirates did is fine. It's fine. I don't know if a needle got moved. It's just fine.
So you feel fine.
It's fine. I'm like your wife. Like I'm secretly annoyed, but everything's fine.
Okay. I'm like, where are you going with that? That's fair. You know what? I'm pleasantly surprised. I'll put it that way. There was a lot they crammed everything in between 5 and 6, which it's Ben Cherington. We should have known that. So I'm pleasantly surprised because they did moves. There was actually quite a few of them. You know, it wasn't one move was made for an outfielder and that was it. And it was like, we guys present to you this middle infielder in Yorke that we talked about yesterday, right? That's really more for the future. And here's the upgrade, Bryan De La Cruz. They actually went even further than that. They went multiple ways. So I was surprised at the amount of moves, and I'm content.
It's the same word as fine, dude. Like if you look it up,
not.
Grab a
thesaurus. 4-letter word. I'm so much more smarter than you.
Grab a thesaurus. Content is like the same word as fine. It's fine.
That's fine.
Everything's fine. Like the Pirates got better today. They acquired major league caliber baseball players who swing a bat and don't pitch. Do I think that they pushed themselves into a wild card contention spot? No. I don't think they did anything close to that. And I'm sorry, I'm always the wet blanket, and I'm going to be a wet blanket again. It's all okay.
Okay. That's fine. And that's kind of how I feel right now. So I figured let's go ahead and just start talking about the moves. And we talked about yesterday's pretty much in depth. I don't think we need to go too deep in that, but we didn't get you to hear your side. So I'll give you, your opportunity right now to talk about Nick Yorke.
Ooh, we're giving me the floor here. No, so that might actually be my favorite trade of this entire deadline the Pirates made, because it fits a need that they desperately, really needed. A minor league guy that can hit a baseball, and he's not a person that you can really move around the diamond. I don't think. It doesn't sound like defensively he's anything outstanding, but you got a guy with an actual hit tool. And you guys talked about it yesterday that you compared him to Nick Gonzalez a little bit. Nick Gonzalez had the swing and miss that got, I guess, negatively implemented into his game. Yorke seems like the type of person that's going to hit. It's just going to be finding a spot for him. And I'm actually all in on. I love that move. I think that
Interesting.
That added a good piece. And also it's probably trading Quinn Priester at a spot where next year we could be looking at Quinn Priester like, dear Lord, we got to get rid of him.
Also fair.
I really did like
he's
that.
Not at his highest, but he's at his highest today is kind of what you're alluding to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could have traded him 5 years ago, but
you're probably right.
After he's made his major league start, we've seen the stuff. It's hard to believe that Quinn Priester becomes a really impact rotational piece in a legitimate team. So getting a bat like a Nick Yorke, people seem to love. And granted, you two knew a lot more about him than I did. Just kind of a once over on him, or twice or three or four or five, because I'm a crazy person and just scrolled up and down videos on him, but I liked him a lot.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. So we'll move on. Because again, I gave my piece, Jim gave his piece. I thought it was a good baseball move, right? Didn't help this year though, was kind of like our gripe on it.
I guess what I would say is that if that trade happens in May, nobody complains at all. It's just that it was so close to the deadline and it was the first one that happened while everything else was going on and the Pirates weren't making moves. If that would happen in May, I think people would have been like, okay, that's a solid move.
That's fair. That's fair. I think you could have questioned it because it's like when we were looking at May, the pitching depth was still kind of suspect.
That's fair.
Is Jared Jones really this guy?
Okay, June.
Okay, more fair. So let's talk about today. So let's kind of go in order, right? Because this already happened. Well, I guess last night. We'll start last night. So the Nick Yorke trade happened, and then we got wind that Jalen Beeks from Colorado, the lefty reliever, he's coming to Pittsburgh. Oh boy, that's kind of how I looked, right? How this is going. So you got Yorke, which again is a good trade, but we haven't gotten better. Beeks comes in, and this is at a time where it's like this Pirates team is struggling against the Houston Astros, and they do pull it off, but currently struggling against the Astros, and they bring in a lefty reliever who's not all that good. He doesn't miss bats, right? He's your prototypical Pirates lefty reliever. And yeah, so I don't know. And also the part of it too was you're hearing wind that Aroldis Chapman could be traded. And we've talked about this in the past. Like it's a possibility that they could look to dump him and still feel good about the rotation. So when you see that move made, is this the precursor? Like, is there maybe something heading with Chapman? What do you think about the Beeks move?
I guess the peripherals look okay on him. Aside from that, like results wise, he hasn't been good. This team did need a lefty reliever. We talked about that, and it was on Jim's PowerPoint. It's fine. Like, he's another guy, but also I'm not going to lose sleep if he is terrible and you have to get rid of him in a couple months. He's just another guy, and he's a lefty piece that I guess has a little bit of upside. Like he gets a swing and miss. He was in Colorado, tough ballpark to pitch in, but even before that, I think he was in Texas, right?
Well, he was in Tampa.
Tampa, that's right. Tampa, yeah.
I don't think he made his way to Texas.
Yeah, no, you're right. He was in Tampa. T's got mixed up, but a little bit concerning, I guess, that Tampa couldn't get the best out of him.
Well, I mean, maybe they did.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, you need a lefty arm. They did. They acquired a guy that has some swing and miss, kind of, but
No.
Kind of. I mean,
I,
he has a little. Not this year, but
okay.
he's had it.
I don't know what's up with my fingers right now, but it refuses to go on his page. Like literally, I am clicking the name and it just won't go. But at any rate, just based off of memory and knowing him, yeah, I mean it's depth. That's all it is. It's depth. I mean, this is the time of the year where like you can never have enough pitching. They did trade away Quinn Priester, albeit of course like not a lefty. That's you're not worried because he's a lefty or whatever. But like they traded away Quinn Priester. That's some depth, as we'll talk about later. Martin Perez is traded, so like this adds to depth. Also, I think is what we're maybe finding out because they did keep Chapman. This isn't so much as like they're looking to replace Chapman, but you're looking at what other lefties can you have. And I'm not sure Ryan Barucki is ever going to return this year. They're talking nerve, and he's been shut down a couple times. You can't plan on him returning. I don't know if this is going full Harleen Garcia on us, where he's just going to disappear because his nerve. But honestly, like it was his nerve. He couldn't pick up a baseball for how long? Now, obviously, King Brucky has because he's pitched, but it hasn't felt good. And he's been shut down a few times. So in my mind, you can't expect him to come back. So outside of Chapman, who are your other lefties? So they bring in Jalen Beeks. If you look at basically every lefty outside of Chapman, they're all soft tossers who don't miss many bats, don't have great stuff. So this kind of adds to that. And like, as Jim said, like he is better than Fleming. You could debate that, but regardless, to me, it's depth. Fine, whatever. In my eyes, we've probably already talked too much about Beeks.
Yeah. It's a move that happened. Aside from
Sure.
that, I don't know what else to put into it.
But I'll say this: how I was feeling last night was, they're not going to do much, are they? This is what we're doing so far. So
You know what I do? Is Peralta a better option than Meeks? Because Jim did ask that in our group chat.
So here's something that's fair. Maybe we haven't talked enough about this because Freddie Peralta's brother in the Pirates organization was the return for Colorado. I know he's far, far away, but that guy's putting up monstrous numbers right now. And so I guess you could debate that, like for Meeks, just for the depth. Do you want to do that? End of the day, whatever. But
Peralta's not that far away. He's in Double A. He's thrown 9 innings in Double A, but he's not that far. And it's a reliever for reliever deal, but
gotcha. I thought he was still in high A, to be honest. Okay, fair enough. He's in Double A. He's not that far away, but still dominating Double A in those few innings. Yeah.
So I mean, like,
my fan.
I'm not going to complain. I'm never going to complain about trading a minor league reliever. Like, you should be able to find those guys on the scrap heap.
Right. I'm with you there. But he does have some real swing and miss stuff.
He does. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we'll move forward. So today happens, and there was another reliever that the Pirates traded for.
Josh Walker.
There it is.
I had to think of his name.
I'm all over the place. I'm telling you this. My computer not working for this. There you go. Yeah. So Josh Walker. So like, it's kind of the same thing. It's a lefty that was DFA'd. That's 29 years old, just a journeyman, like really a nothing move. But you know what? What is Ben Cherington like? Extension. That's what he has. What was it? 97th percentile extension.
And I mean, it worked for Falter. Like if you've watched us, you know what I said about Bailey Falter. Pirates did find something with the extension, and it gets brought up time and time again. So I mean, it's an interesting piece just because of what the Pirates have found pitching wise, and they do well with acquiring these types of guys.
They do. Like this is, I feel like if this was a year ago, I was probably going, what the hell? Also, it's he's in the minors. He's still in AAA. Like this wasn't a move for, it is just depth. but this was probably one where I'd be talking a little bit more on if it was like a year or so ago.
Right.
I've said it. Like at this point in time, I trust in the Pirates pitching. I trust in what they see a little bit more. I put out his numbers. I don't think it's much of anything at this point in time. But like with Baraki, I was like, what the hell are we doing? So when they traded for Walker, I'm just like, okay, let's find out. I'm not expecting much, but he kind of fits the profile of like what they seem to be doing.
Yeah, they didn't give anything up, so
And
it's another
right.
it's another piece that apparently the Pirates targeted and they found interesting. So, hey, I'm willing to find out what he has.
Mm-hmm. Same. But us again, like he's in AAA right now. It's a whatever move. So you're still waiting for like the move to come. And I feel like it finally came.
And waiting.
The one that has kind of been linked to the Pirates and whatnot. And
it got linked to the Pirates at like 11 o'clock, I feel like.
Well, I think it's been for a few days. For a few days there's been, but I think it started heating up around 11 o'clock.
It's been on the back burner though.
What has been on the front burner?
That's true.
Right. So with that said, Bryan De La Cruz comes to Pittsburgh from Miami. This is, I think, where we're going to really start talking about these trades. So, Tyler, I'll give you the floor.
Ooh.
Bryan De La Cruz for Shim.
Yeah. So when you look at what the Pirates gave up for it, they gave up Shim and they gave up Forrester, Gary Forrester, who's spells his name.
That's right.
Silly. But Shim is certainly an interesting piece. The stuff all reports said was really good. Health-wise, hasn't been there. You acquire De La Cruz for that, who, I mean, he's a major league caliber hitter. Bryan De La Cruz improves this team today. On July 30th, 2024, Bryan De La Cruz makes the 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates a better team. With that being said, looking at it right now on this day, and my opinion could change because a lot of things can happen down the line and we got the rest of the year to play out. Today, if you are asking me, gun to head, do you want Bryan De La Cruz on your opening day, in your opening day starting lineup in 2024? I'm going to tell you no. I think 2025. I apologize. In 2025, we're looking at the Pirates opening day starting lineup. They got to do better than a Bryan De La Cruz. He's a guy that brings something that they desperately need right now. He's hit the ball over the wall. They need home runs so badly. He's also a guy that with swing and miss in his game, and they don't need much more of that. He doesn't play very good defense. They don't need much more bad defense. Everybody, I feel like a good bit of people talked about De La Cruz and mentioned Edward Olivares with him. I was one of them as well. And Olivares, numbers-wise, Olivares a lot more limited in at-bats with Kansas City when he came over. De La Cruz has gotten a lot more run with Miami. Right. Numbers-wise, it's not that far off. And I think maybe I'm just scarred as the Pirates fan here. I haven't seen a player come to the Pirates as a hitter and really improve or at least stay at the same level in a long time, man. So I think we're kind of counting on De La Cruz continuing what he's been doing without really like digging into whatever the Pirates' hitting philosophy is hasn't worked. And I think we're counting on him to continue to do what he's done without really accounting for what the Pirates do to hitters, which it's not improving them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make hitters better. They haven't. They're better today than they were yesterday, for sure. They got a guy that helps this lineup right now.
Yeah, agree.
It's not the needle mover I really hope for.
So here I am with this trade. Trade itself. This is one of those again. I mean, again, let's talk. I feel like almost literally every trade with Ben Sherrington since the beginning of last offseason, we have talked favorite. Like the trade is a good trade. You gave up Shim for him. Didn't mean that. But like that's a good trade. That's a good trade. Shim has all the qualities that in 5 years from now, you might be looking back and saying, oh boy, we let him get away. But I think the chances of that is very, very low or high, I should say. Very low that happening. And this is something you need today. Like this is a trade you make, you don't even think about, you just do it. And again, because of the depth of the Pirates farm system with arms, you don't even second guess it. He makes you better today. He fills in a need, right? He's going to be better than what Palacios is probably going to do. And of course, Palacios is injured. You're hoping Palacios could be what De La Cruz is. Not vibes wise, but production wise, right? Jack Sawinski. I mean, he's light years better than Jack Sawinski right now for the most part, So like he improves this team right now. We talked about it. This team only needs to be marginally better offensively to have a shot. The pitching is so good, since I know this is like heading into the series, so it doesn't count, the past few days, whatever, but I think they were like, 29 and 21, something like 26 and 19, I think it was since June 1st,
Since
while
Paul Skeens
being
has come up, they've been
25th in
really good.
offense. What's that?
Since Paul Skeens has arrived, they've been
Right.
pretty good.
Right. And again, like, as a number, I think they were 26 and 19 since June 1st. And that was also being 25th in offense, right? As far as weighted runs created plus is concerned. What they need to do is find ways to stop scoring less than 2 runs. So this helps that. It certainly does. I mean, this team is better by adding Bryan De La Cruz. And what you had to give up to get him, you just simply do. And he has control.
Yeah.
I guess where I'm at with this is it is just like you. I think right now the expectations is we hope to get a wild card. And Bryan De La Cruz helps you hope to get a wild card. He does this year. He makes his team better. But it seems like what they did was they paid for control rather than impact. He's not as impactful as Winker. And I think that's where you're at, where I'm at as well. Like Winker, Bryan De La Cruz is fine. He's a below average hitter. I mean, this year he's a 96 weighted runs created plus. Last year, 92. The year before, 101. Like for 3 years in a row, he's hovered at best an average hitter for a corner outfielder who doesn't play good defense.
Right.
Like, do you see what we're getting at here? We're talking about this when people are saying, well, he's more than fine. You guys are crazy. No, he's simply just fine. In 2022, he was worth 0.6 WAR. Last year, negative 0.2 WAR. This year alone, he's worth 0.1 WAR. He is barely an above replacement level player. Now for 2024, that's what the Pirates just desperately need is someone who's barely above replacement level, and that improves them. But if next year the goal is to win the division in 364 days, we're going to probably be talking about we need to upgrade Bryan De La Cruz. And that's where I'm at. So if in a year from now, the player that you got because he's controllable, you're probably looking to upgrade because he's now the new hole, maybe you should have went more impact like a Jesse Winker to improve your chances this year, because you're probably still going to be looking to replace right field again next year. So I think we both feel the same way. It's a fine trade, but I'm not a big fan of this trade overall. I would have preferred something else, though they are better this year.
Yeah. And we're saying the same thing here, but another part of it, he does bring value to you next year if he's used correctly. And it's similar to Connor Joe. Connor Joe has been overexposed.
Yes.
Connor Joe has really in the last couple months turned into a really bad baseball player because you're counting on him every day. Now, Connor Joe being used in a smaller role, he's a very valuable baseball player to your team. Problem is that I can't get out of my head is that we're going to go into 2025 and just think that Bryan De La Cruz is the answer in right field.
And I agree. And again, like He could. You talk about, and it could be jaded because, watching the Pirates and being involved in the Pirates and
Yep.
Pirates. But at the same time, he comes from Miami. And if you think you're jaded because as being a Pirates fan, the Pirates can't turn hitters. I mean, what has Miami done with hitters? So at the same time, he could actually come over to Pittsburgh and perform. Maybe he needs to get out of Miami. So I'll give him this. I mean, he wasn't a prospect coming up. He just arrived and happened to be good on a mid team, be good enough, and yes, he'd hit some homers. But yeah, like I'm not a believer in him. And honestly, that's why I never brought him up in the trade show. So like, here's another thing too. If anyone's talking about, just because of Pirates, there's a reason why I didn't bring him up. I'm not a fan of him. That just is what it, and if you are, that's fine. Difference of opinion. I'm not much of a fan of him. That's why I didn't even look at him as a target. So when I speak, what I'm speaking of now, it's what I would have spoke on before. That's why I didn't talk about him. Wasn't a fan. He is here. Still not a huge fan. He is an improvement, but I think you're probably looking to improve upon him next year.
Yeah, I mean, like,
this is what it is.
But
they gave up nothing for him.
Yeah,
probably.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but really though, when you're able to acquire a guy with the control that he does have, and he's under team control for a little while, and you're getting somewhere close to a league average hitter with a decent bit of pop, I'm not saying to turn that deal down by any means. It's just the jaded part of me that looks forward at these Pittsburgh Pirates, and I am afraid that they're going to count on him a little bit too heavily. Now, granted, here's something that I did want to bring up to you, DiNardo, because you've been a guy that has said this time and time again. The Pirates are kind of betting on talent here, and Bryan De La Cruz is talented. If they can get maybe like another, just a little more push out of him, there's talent there to become a pretty good baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I believe that they can get him there, but they did acquire a guy who has a lot of talent. And that I do like. They didn't acquire say, Taylor Ward, who, he's just, it seems like he might be able to hit at this point, but he's just a league average hitter that doesn't really do anything well. De La Cruz, there's some upside here.
That's fair. I don't think there's a whole lot of upside.
There's a little,
but maybe more than Ward.
There's a.
I also wasn't
Taylor
a big
Ward's
believer
kind of
in Ward either.
Yeah, he's kind of afraid of a baseball now, which rightfully so. But
Jim knows that. I was never a fan of Ward.
Yeah.
So maybe that's here. Maybe there's your sign. I wasn't a fan of Ward. Look what he did, and that was before Ward blew up. And I'm not a fan of Bryan De La Cruz, so maybe he'll blow up too.
Hey.
At any rate, though,
hey, I poo-pooed the Bailey Falter trade last year.
Yeah,
and this is in the same vein. You got a guy with control. You don't really give up anything. See what happens.
Anything else that you want to talk about De La Cruz or that trade? And I guess we do about Forster. I mean, technically he was also involved in that trade also, but to me, Forster is a guy.
Yeah, he's a guy. I mean, like,
I felt, again, Shim's the one who I feel like could come back and show like, ooh.
Yeah, but I am comfortable giving him up.
Yes.
Like, Ben Sherrington's comfortable saying no. I'm comfortable giving up Shim.
Fair. All right. So the next move happens. And to me, I think this was the premier marquee move the Pirates made, which also helps out for 2025 as well. So Isiah Kiner-Falefa, they add him. I feel like he's gone from this really interesting guy, goes to the Yankees, falls from complete grace. Everyone in New York hated him. He rebounds with Toronto this year, has a good season. I know he's injured. He's been on the rehab. He should be back shortly, if not almost immediately. And he's going to be a Pittsburgh Pirate from now through next year. And I think this is really cool. I want to say something in this sense, like this non-baseball trade related. He's a distant cousin of Ralph Kiner. Like this man's going to be walking into PNC Park, looking up and like literally seeing his name up there. Like that's cool. That's cool.
It would be cool, actually. Like I was trying to, again,
I saw your face. I knew.
Tyler's brain's kind of broken, but yeah, that is kind of cool. Like I was trying to think
cool
about,
as hell.
Yeah, he's probably never met any of that side of the family, but yeah, that is kind of cool.
Right. So I know
Like,
it's
your
distant, but
namesake
like
is up
it's
there.
still there. I mean, we all have that one distant cousin that no one, but like it's kind of it's a cool story. Like, hey,
For most people,
guess what? I'm related to blah blah blah, and he's related to someone who played the game, one of the best in Pittsburgh, and he's going to walk into the same, well, I guess not the same stadium, but the same city into a stadium that city's team plays for and see that person up there while wearing the jersey of that team. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, for most, you mentioned the distant relatives that probably talk about their cousin they've never met. And for most in my family, it would be talking about me. But in his case, it's talking about a Hall of Famer. That's fine.
Right. Yeah. So now to the trade itself.
Yeah.
I like the trade.
So I like it more that cash considerations did come back because
Hey, Bob. Are you related to Bob? Is that the guy that you is that the relative?
I might be somehow. We are from the same slight neck of the woods, but I do like the trade. He adds something they do need. They need a utility player that does hit a baseball somewhat. And he's having a really good offensive year. And he can actually play defense. I like it a lot more with the cash considerations coming back, mainly because 7.5 for him next year, I think is a little bit steep. And I know we're talking about the Pirates here. But 7.5, we talk about the 10.5 that Aroldis Chapman got and how much of the payroll that takes up, and Brian Hayes and how much that takes up. IKF getting 7.5 would hurt next year. So even if it's 2.2 or whatever came back, that makes it a little bit better, I think. But offensively, it's kind of shades of Adam Frazier going to the Padres, where he just fell back to earth immediately. Difference is that IKF can defend, and he can defend everywhere.
Right.
And even if he falls back to earth to where he was previously, that's still light years better than what you're getting out of Alika Williams.
Mm-hmm. I like this trade for many reasons. It helps out now. It's a dire need with Nick Gonzalez being injured. You need someone at second base. And at this point in time, it's Alika Williams, because even if you thought, and Jared Triolo, but even if you thought G1 Bay could be in there, he left last night injured. So did Palacios. They might even right in the outfield at some point in time because Sawinski was sent down. It's like there's a real need at second base. And, again, like you almost thought with a Yorke trade, I know he's a prospect, but maybe he's the guy that slides in. Maybe they deem him ready and he goes in there. Now you can let Yorke sit in AAA. Yeah. You bring IKF. I need a nickname for him. I guess we'll say IKF.
It's going to be interesting watching.
I mean, he has Kiner. We got to get a real nickname for him. I was trying to think on the top of my head right now too, and nothing came. But he's going to come in, slide right in there. But like what I love about him is exactly what you talked about, the defensive flexibility. This is what you wanted Jared Triolo to be. And that's why Jared Triolo would be so valuable, because the guy hits just well enough. For his career, he's a below average hitter. Yes, he's having a good year this year. And as I think someone put in here, I can't find it, he's been a little bit lucky this year, and absolutely he has, which is fine. It's fine. But because he's so versatile, because he can play everywhere and still doesn't hurt you offensively, much like Jared Triolo does for the most part. And literally every fifth guy from 5 to 9 of this batting lineup pretty much hurts you. You talk about Adam Frazier, like, yeah, the offense will probably drop off, but he can give you defensive everywhere. He's Sean Rodriguez. And
Just steal my
again,
comp. That's fine.
well, that's what we were both going down this path.
Yeah, but I mean, I texted earlier. It's fine. It's fine.
But like that's what he is. And those guys are so valuable to winning teams. That's why he's been valuable to winning teams. Because when O'Neal Cruz needs a day off, you don't have Alika Williams there. You have him there.
Okay.
When Nick Gonzalez needs a day off, you don't have Jared Triolo there. You have him there. When Brian Hayes, well, he's probably better than Brian Hayes at this point in time. So hey, you have him there.
Oh yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, you're going to find his bat. So there was another comment here too, way up,
he's your best infield.
Where do you find him in this lineup, like in the future? And it's everywhere. He literally plays everywhere. When that guy needs a day off, he's there. He will be in the lineup 5 days a week because someone's going to need a day off. And he's your break glasses of emergency for every position. There's an injury in left field. All right, he's your left fielder now. There's an injury at second. He's your second baseman now. And you're comfortable with that. That's just so valuable.
You look at trade Leos. But yeah. And going back to the Sean Rodriguez comp we talked about before, the problem with Sean Rodriguez and why, he's grown on me a little more as time's gone on, but the problem with Sean Rodriguez was, again, the Pirates didn't use him correctly. He got shoved into a first base defensive replacement role. So his value wasn't fully met. If the Pirates can use IKF correctly, you have a guy that does not strike out much, which you desperately need someone in the lineup to put baseballs in play, because little things still do matter. You need to move runners. He's a guy that can do that. You have a guy that can play literally anywhere on the diamond. He does have a game in center field this year. And you're getting a guy that is hitting well, but also he's probably due for some regression. But even if he were to come back down to what he was in New York, or I'm drawing a blank on where he was before that. Was he Texas? I just keep saying Texas.
Texas.
Yeah. I just keep saying Texas. But even if we go back to then, like, he was like a 80 to 85 WRC plus, like 15% below average. You're not getting much pop, but also this year we've seen the strikeouts drop. We're seeing a little bit more pop, or at least a little more over-the-wall power from him. He's going to regress a little bit. It's obvious. You're getting a guy that plays really good defense. You gave up a little bit for him, but he's a very valuable piece, and obviously because the Yankees had him for 2 years, and he played a lot. And I know you'll get into they hated him, blah, 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 blah. But
whatever.
Hey, he's definitely a guy that maybe not an everyday player. He's a guy that is very valuable to a Major League Baseball team.
If we're talking about comps, honestly,
hit me with one.
So we say Sean Rodriguez, and no one's going to be a perfect comp, but like Sean Rodriguez struck out a lot, and he had those years where he had like a lot of power too. Now, this guy had a 4-win season that came out of nowhere, which lent him a big-time contract also. But, I mean, like, what about J-Hay? Outside of that year where he was just like really, really good. Huh?
He's a better defender.
J-Hay is?
No, IKF is.
Oh, okay.
But
again, like,
not play short.
No, then that's fair. No, absolutely. And that's, again, like why I like this too, because you have someone who can actually play short and have a bat where no one else in this organization, you can't find that anywhere. But like, honestly, maybe a little bit of a disservice even for a Sean Rodriguez. I mean, like, look at a J-Hay.
Yes. I'm talking like Tampa, Sean Rod.
It's still like he struck out a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
J-Hay didn't really strike out a lot either.
Yeah, he did. Maybe like a John McDonald.
But either way, and again, like they fit the same mold. J-Hay just got better. That 1 year, Sean Rod was always like the utility guy everywhere. But really, J-Hay was this mold. But the point we're getting to is like you need these guys. Like winning teams need this player. You were hoping that Jared Trillo was going to be this player. He clearly showed he can't be this player. So now you went and got a proven guy to be this player. There's so much value in that. That's why you're hoping and praying that Jared Triolo could find a bat because he has the defense behind him to do that. You're hoping that could be an outfield, and he plays right field for the first time ever. And the first time seeing the baseball, he makes that play.
Right.
So, like, that's there in him. It's just he has no bat. So again, I like this deal a lot because it helps out this year a lot. Just because of the dire need, you have to find someone in second base. But like when Nick Gonzalez comes back, you got someone that can play everywhere. When there's a day off, it's no longer Aliko Williams. It's no longer Jared Triolo, right? It's this guy. It's him. And that goes for third base even. And again, like O'Neill Cruz, when he has a day off, there's not a complete black hole in that lineup every single day because of someone who needs a day off. So I think this is going to be a very, very good deal for now and the future for next year. And that it's not expensive. It ends up being $5 million like for next year. So cool.
Yeah. 7.5. I was like, that's a little bit steep, but like 5 I can live with.
Right.
I know I'm talking about the Pirates' economic situation.
Exactly.
Right now.
But for all the reasons that Brian Hayes gets told that's a terrible contract. It's not. But when you're the Pittsburgh Pirates, that's why you get talked about that because like you're the third highest paid player on the team.
Right. You look at the percentage of payroll that these types of guys are taking up. And if he were making 7.5, that would probably concern me a little bit. But at the same time, he is a valuable player, and he's been valuable for a very long time.
Right. Absolutely. So good stuff. Good stuff there. The day wasn't over. What do we got next, Tyler?
Martin.
Thought he couldn't be traded.
Yeah. The Pirates dumped that salary. So IKF's money.
There it is. We found a way.
Yeah. Ethan
but
will
it makes
probably
sense.
be able to tell us. Like the Pirates probably didn't add any payroll.
Which is fine. Well, not really. No, that's why it is fine. Again, that's why everything is just fine. But yeah. So I think it's all ironic. There's been so much that was my I don't want to call it dark horse, but I felt this whole time like Martin Perez is the guy that's going to go. They're going to find someone to dump the contract on. That can't happen. Look what happened to Rich Hill. The Padres did it with Rich Hill last year, and the team that traded for Rich Hill last year traded for Martin Perez. It happened again to the same exact team. So Martin Perez goes to San Diego, and I don't know what the Pirates got back.
Like some guy in the DSL run all this.
Like all I'm alluding to is
much he like last year. Drafts page. I don't.
Much like last year, you knew it was a lottery ticket. There's not a whole lot you really know about the guys. I'm not going to tell you who these people are, but most importantly, they dumped the contract. That's what they want to do. They moved on from him, and you got some in the DSL. Who knows what will happen?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't like it.
Why?
What's the next depth piece here? Who's the next guy stepping up to take a rotation spot?
Well, Jared Jones when he comes back.
Okay. When's that going to be?
Well, he's throwing. Everything lines up that it's going to be mid-August probably.
Okay. That's at best.
And Falter's going to be taking the spot.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure tomorrow. That was Martin Perez's day. So
you have
Falter lined up in his, which we talked about last week when Perez started. Falter made his rehab same exact day.
Yeah.
Writing's kind of on the wall.
So right now, on July 30th. Skeens,
Mhm.
Keller, Marco, Ortiz, Falter.
Yeah.
Marco, his arm is half dead. He's going down any day of the week. Like every time he throws a baseball, he's close.
That's fine. You got Jones coming.
Okay, hopefully.
Slide out Marco to the bullpen. There's
Okay.
Ashcraft down there and that's the thing. Now, here's the thing. We talked about he should go into the bullpen because the bullets in the arm. Well, the IL stint has been a kind of a blessing because he hasn't been able to pitch. So he has innings left to help you out.
Okay. So we have Paul Skeens, who I know they're saying they're not going to limit the innings, but we'll see.
Right.
We'll see on that one. You have Mitch Keller, that's a workhorse. Marco Gonzalez, any day of the week can go down.
Mm-hmm.
Ashcraft, yeah. He you can call him up almost any day at this point. You got Mike Burrows that is coming off Tommy John.
There's another one who's small sample, but so far he's been looking.
There's just
fine.
So when we get
but I mean, who's down there. I've been waiting to say it, but like there is a guy who's down there.
Who is it?
Domingo.
I guess that probably did make him more comfortable making this move.
There's depth. And again, I get like, but that is if you're at the point where you've lost two guys in this rotation, your playoff chances are probably hurting anyways. But what I'll say to your point, though, that's why when I talked yesterday, it's not as if I felt Quinn Priester was here to stay. Your points being made is why I'm kind of surprised this year was the year they moved on from him. I felt it'd be more of like an offseason type of move. So I was kind of shocked that this year is when they moved on because he does provide that depth. But again, there's Falter coming back. There is Jared Jones. There is Ashcraft. There is Burrows. And there is Domingo Germán.
There are options, but again,
there are options.
I'm still scarred by that two-man rotation. And also, if they get down the stretch and they are still in the thick of this thing, one guy going down, there's not much, like there's depth, but there's not much proven depth left. Perez, he's been bad for the most. Like he's been bad. You didn't really get anything for him. You dumped salary. I probably would have kept him around because they got nothing out of it.
That's fair. Again, that's fair. I kind of agree here. And maybe the moves that happened this trade deadline kind of showed it. We've all been curious about the report. Bob Nutting came out and said how like the money's there. We could, like Bob Nutting spoke and it seemed to hit a nerve with a lot of the front office, and then leaks happen there. And who's telling the truth? And if you see what happened this deadline, they did acquire. None of it was a lot of money. The one that had some money was IKF. And at the same time, they dumped Marcos. Like you said, it seems as if payroll stays the same. So I'm kind of leaning towards the front office that there probably wasn't money. And in order to make these moves, they had to dump Marco. And if the cost of adding De La Cruz and IKF is the dump, I'm fine with that. So that's where I'm at with this. This makes sense. At least it wasn't Chapman. Like, I'll put it that way.
That's fair. And that's a conversation that's probably more of an NS9 Live episode, but I don't know why you can't just keep both.
Well, you know why. It's because of your relative that you're distantly related to that you want to speak on.
Apparently.
Right? Your neck of the woods.
Hey. The Pirates did get better today.
They did. But that's not the last trade. The Orioles.
Oh, yeah, that thing happened.
That happened. So another move happened, which was long-term looked at, I guess. I mean, it was technically prospects for prospects. Riley goes to the Orioles, and God, who do they get now too?
Billy Cook.
Billy Cook. That's it.
Yeah, 25-year-old in AAA with Baltimore. He's hitting well there. It's kind of in the vein of the Yorke trade with Priester.
Right.
Like you're trading a little bit of depth there for a guy that might be a little closer, but he's also 25 years old hitting the ball in AAA. We'll see. I mean, Garrett Jones happened. He got traded from the Twins and just all of a sudden came up, raked baseballs. Things can happen, and I'm okay with taking guys that, honestly, as if I were a major league GM, I would be very tempted to acquire every single AAA player that just rakes, and one or two of you have to work out.
Well, maybe, but then you're also getting G1 Bay and Alika Williams.
True, but he does have a little bit of pop.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Steel said he says it in the comments there. It's a lottery ticket, but I'm not mad about it. He's a guy that has hit there. I'm interested to see what he does in Indianapolis, and we'll go from there with it.
So that's, like, I guess the way I look at this one is him being 25 skews things a little bit more in this sense. This doesn't seem to be a right now move, but it could be, much like Yorke, like you're talking about. And again, a position where Gonzalez is down, second base. It's one of those things where you're using a prospect of depth. You have plenty of pitching. Riley is certainly one of those. He looks every bit of interesting and intriguing, but you have plenty of those. Now you're adding someone where you need depth. And again, like you're trading Charles McAdoo for IKF. You bring this guy in, that maybe eases a little bit more. Not saying that they're the same type of player or whatever, but he is, but also like he is 25 years old in AAA doing this. Yeah, you can make the argument, why is he not here yet? Well, it's Baltimore. They have 9,000 players that are Hall of Famers about to be on their team. You know what I mean? Like, they just don't fit. They have a problem. They need to trade some of these guys because there's no room to promote them. So I like the idea of, you know what, we have some depth here. What we lack on is offense. So let's trade. Nowhere near the level, but it's the Jazz Chisholm for Zach Gallen type thing. Like, you know, hey, we have tons of arms. You have tons of bat. This is what we need. This is what you need. Let's trade prospects. And I know Zach Gallen technically was in the majors at that time, but you know what I mean? Like that. It's like, we need this. You need this. Here you go. But I don't know. Does Cook debut this year, much like Yorke? I think they both have the ability to debut this year and give dividends right away at some point in time. They're close. And especially Cook, because he's 25 years old.
Yeah. So
it's like, I like this for just this is a fundamental move that you're looking at for now and the future.
You know what else it is? If Rowdy does go down and we just saw him have some issues, there's not much depth there. You have Connor Joe and nothing else.
Yeah.
So it's a move that you probably need in case something happens to Rowdy, who has been playing well. And you lost Jake Lamb, so there wasn't much else there at first base. I'm fine with it. That's fine.
And I guess I didn't realize
Jake Lamb, right? Like, I just said that out loud. And
I guess I didn't realize how many positions Billy Cook's literally played everywhere. Also, I mean, he's played first. He's played every
Lamb's
single position. Yeah,
he is kind of.
No.
Every time I turn around, he's like released and back. He's released back. Feels like.
But Billy Cook's played literally everywhere also, except for a short. So I guess there is that aspect to him as well. Much like an IKF to a degree. But again, like I do like this move. I do like this move. If Patrick Riley turns into something cool, but the Pirates have a plethora of those somethings at this point in time. Here's someone who can help now and probably long-term into the future. You know, I like the move.
I don't know. I just kind of lost track of Jake Lamb, and now I'm on that.
Who cares?
Yeah,
we're talking about the 2024 MLB trade deadline.
Say anything incorrectly, because he was gone, he's back, he's gone back.
Jake
Yeah, he
Lamb is still here, by the way.
Yeah, but he just kind of fell off. But also, it's another piece that you can, I guess, slide in. I mean, I don't know if I expect anything out of him, but I didn't expect anything out of Patrick Riley. So, not that I expect anything out of most minor leaguers, because I'm Tyler. And
all right. So I guess we talked about all the deals. So let's recap this then. Now that it's over, what are your overall thoughts on the trade deadline?
If we're looking at improving the 2024 Pirates, I'd give them a B. It wasn't anything that moves the needle, but they did improve. They did. If I'm looking at the Pirates, just long term here, maybe like a C. I don't know if anything they did today pushes them forward into a contender next year.
Odd. Okay. That's dumb.
How is that dumb?
It's not. I just wanted to say that. It's your opinion, though. It's funny. I feel the reverse way of it, though. Like, I feel long term, they made some slot. I'll just say this. I'll go.
Dude, we just had a conversation about how we're going to have this conversation next year
about one player, though. But looking at Cook, looking at Yorke, IKF, there was long-term involved in those. That's why I didn't like the Bryan De La Cruz. That's just one person. But we're talking about overall. Cook has all the years of control. Yorke has all the years of control. I'm going to say my piece on this.
Mm-hmm.
I give it a C+. I give it a C+. I don't hate it. They got better. My issue is a couple things. A lot of the moves they made today is the type of stuff they should be doing the year before and the year before that. That's what we didn't like about the trade deadline these past few years. They never looked ahead when they should have been. So I mean, I like that they did do those things this year also, right? We talked about the Yorke trade. My problem is they improved today. They did. We discussed that. There's no argument. They got better today. I'm afraid they got marginally better, not enough, because as I stated before, not only are you looking to get better, every other team is. San Diego got much better. They're ahead of you. The Mets got much better. They're ahead of you. The Cardinals got much better. They're ahead of you. The Diamondbacks, they kind of chilled. I'll give you that. They added Puck. They added today Josh Bell. I don't know if those are much needle movers. So, like, I'll give you that. The Braves, they've lost a lot. They got better. I don't know how much. I'll give that too, but there's a big distance between there. So, like, all the teams that are ahead of you got better. Did you do enough to get better than them? Because you have to gain them. You're outside looking in. That's why, like the Bryan De La Cruz is better, but Winker is more impactful for this year. IKF is good. This helps, but that comes with the loss of Nick Gonzalez also. If they added another bat that was impactful for this year, maybe. And again, like if Yorke comes in this year at some point, if Cook comes in this point sometime this year, and they provide impact this year, and that could change things. But I don't think you can count on them right now, per se. And again, like their prospects, like there's a very good chance they could come up and they struggle, like most prospects do, right? So that's where I give them a C+, because they got better today, but it wasn't, in my mind, enough to really supplant you and say, here's the run. They could do it. It can happen. I'm not denying them. I'm not looking at today and saying it's over. But it wasn't as impactful as you wanted to see at today's deadline to really make yourself feel good about the wild card run.
So
Now-
you just took the middle ground of my grades.
No.
Yeah.
Why did I take the
I
middle
gave
ground
a
of
B
your
and a
grades?
C. You took a C plus.
Because honestly, I give a C minus for 2024 and I give a B plus for mine was inversed. That's what I'm saying. That's why I was confused. You're looking at like it was good for this year and long term not. And I'm like,
Did they
they're opposite.
improve the 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates?
They did.
Yeah, B.
Okay.
Did they improve the 2025 Pittsburgh Pirates? Kind of. C.
Yes.
I'd
See
say
again, like
kind of.
reverse. I feel C minus for 2024 and a B plus for the future.
So that's where in all seriousness, I think that's where we're kind of flipped because I'm looking
Yes.
at next year like those two guys should not be who you're counting on next year.
Well, no.
Those are two guys
but you
that
don't
should
have to
not
count
start
them.
on a contender. So I don't think they move the needle next year. They move the
shouldn't?
needle.
What two guys you talking about?
Or De La Cruz, either of them.
Oh yeah, and I agree. I'm talking more of Yorke and Cook.
Yeah, I think you are.
Those were good moves. I mean, you traded away from depth, and you traded pitching that you have lots
the Pirates always bring up hitters that work
and you
out.
got two more guys, two more bats, some options. I love those moves for what they were, but there was not nearly enough impact for 2024 to make me feel super confident about the wild card this year. IKF, I think, fits very well for this team next year. He shouldn't be your starter. It should be Cruz, and hopefully it's Nick Gonzalez or somebody, and IKF can just do his thing. He's your Sean Rodriguez. He's your utility guy. That's what you need him here for. Great guy to have in your team. You got him.
Yeah,
De La
thankfully
Cruz, we agree on.
Like, there's an entire offseason where they can kind of add, but.
So, again, to your point, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, we have like 6 months of a show in 2 months that we'll talk about this.
Right. So anyway, there's my. I also think that's funny. I gave the C plus, and you, of all people, gave the B.
No, because the 2024 Pirates are better right now than they were yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good enough? I don't think so, but they got better.
All right. Does that conclude the show?
Yeah, we talked about the trade deadline for an hour and 3 minutes.
We're so good.
Well, not me, but thank you, Donardo, for having me on.
Let's get out of here. I appreciate everyone who joined and watched, as always. There's a game tonight. Let's have some fun. Pirates won last night. Game 2 in Houston. If they can take 2 out of 3 from Houston, that'll be big. Last night,
3 ain't bad.
Great way to start. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. So the reinforcements aren't here yet. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be talking about these guys in uniform and helping get that dub tomorrow. But yeah, tonight I'm not on the post game. I don't think you are either, right?
No, I got a day off.
Jim. I don't know who's on tonight. Hell, I might
either.
be. Maybe I need to double
check. I think it might be you.
Because it sounds like there's
I think it might be
on
you.
here if it's not one of us three. Because like we know it's not Cody. It is me. I'm with Neil. You. I'll be back tonight, everyone. See you then.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Bye-bye.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.